Hello and welcome to the World Game. I've got a very special guest with me today, Romeo Jozak from the Croatian Football Federation. He's the technical director. You've worked with many big players like Modric, Eduardo da Silva, Niko Kranjčar at Dinamo Zagreb. What's your philosophy on the game, and how did you actually get into it in the first place?
They happened 12 years ago on a B team of Dinamo Zagreb. They were still kids. At that time, when I was a coach of the second team, I didn't know what would be the players that kind of come out of that, and I was definitely happy coaching those guys. The philosophy was just to keep them going, keep the passion going, and not give up, not let go. And those guys were really, I mean, there was like obstacles all along the way for them and for us, and they just didn't quit. Today, when you see them playing on a big arena, some big fields, I'm really proud of them.
Croatia's got a very small population, but they seem to continue to produce top quality players, and many of them. Why is that?
Yeah, you're right. There's 4.5 million of us over there living in the country. It's a small size of country, and being one of the leading federations and leading nations in soccer in the world nowadays is definitely something we find to be a privilege. However, the talent that we have, the raw talent that we have, is quite often not enough. You gotta keep working. There's a lot of countries, a lot of nations all around the planet investing and doing a lot of in the direction of the football. Therefore, if you don't keep up, if you don't go into the science and find new things and develop and research and trying to improve, it's not going to be enough. We adjusted to that level. We have a lot of good academies in Europe on Croatian level, together with the national federation overseeing the whole thing. And I think so far we're doing quite well.
So when you say you have to keep up and adapt and make sure you're in line with all the other top nations, what exactly does that mean? What are you doing in Croatia to produce and keep producing good players?
You know, something we do have within the genes, within the talent, is we like the ball because we're talented. We like to handle the ball. We like to manage with the ball because we're, let's say, good with it, technically wise. However, the game has become a lot faster. Players can't hold on to the ball for too long now. They got to get rid of the ball as soon as they can. They can even have 2 touches. I mean, 1 touch is sometimes everything they're allowed to have. Therefore, we got to adjust with that. It's actually the biggest struggle, the biggest challenge we will be facing, because trying to force our players not to love the ball as much as they do is something what's a big challenge, and therefore breaking down those habits and adjusting to the quickness of the game that's happening in the world nowadays is something what we find really flattering in a way that we did it, and that's one of the reasons why we so far did what we did.
Here in Australia, we've modelled our game on the Dutch system, and we're trying to improve the way we play here. What about in Croatia? Do you look at countries like Germany, who have totally revamped their structure in youth academies, or a team like Barcelona?
They all did what they had to do, and they did it quite well. They adapted to the system. And Spain, there's one way of looking at a thing. Mentality's got to do a lot of it. Spanish mentality, Southern mentality is different than the German mentality. Even though in Germany there's a lot of foreigners coming in, so all the youth national teams, even the senior national team, is a mixture of the old Germans and the people coming from outside Germany, like Australia in a way. So taking all these bits, taking all these little parts from every other federation and making something what we find that's going to be the best recipe for us. Today, I can't say there's a unified and general recipe in the world that's going to make you play soccer good and be in the world championship. If it was like that, then everyone would do that and we'd be all good. So it's not like that. So we all got to rely on our own mentalities and own things that we can do. But I'm saying if you do things properly, if you have like a general agenda and general curriculum that you follow, and then adjusting it and changing and doing it, adapting it along the way is definitely going to make you and help you better.
And what about where is Croatia placed now? So as in youth development and making the young tournaments, how are you going at the moment, the progress?
We do actually very well. We're the only nation, the European nation, actually that qualified for both U17 and U20 World Cups this year in Turkey and Emirates, and we were proud of that. I'm not afraid for the future of the Croatian football. We have unbelievable talent, and as I said, adapting and making those changes into development, because talent is not enough. There has to be those changes as well. Academies do very well. If we had a better economy overall in the country, in the system, it would definitely help. However, we can't expect to hold and to keep our players in the first division, because as soon as they reach 16, 17, age of 18, they got to leave, they leave. So the national team is not going to have problems. The first division clubs might have a little problems because of the economy. They can't keep them, they got to be sold. Dinamo is one of the leading force in that. But generally, for the Croatian national team, for the country, it won't be too much of a problem.
Now, just to you personally, you had an offer recently to join Arsenal as their technical director, and also before that the Irish FA. If someone offered most people a chance to go to Arsenal, they would take it. So that's a glowing recommendation firstly, but why didn't you go there?
Yeah, the offer wasn't for the technical, if it was for the academy director, to be academy director. And I was the academy director of Dinamo Zagreb at that time, and it was really, when we had a talk and when I had the communication with them, it was, I was one of the, for what they told, I was one of the strongest candidates. The reason I didn't take it is I got 3 kids in Croatia. At that time, there was a decision to come to Croatian FA, as I am right now, as a technical director, and to make that path and to make that decision to actually leave anything I was doing and building step by step, to actually just cut it and go to Arsenal FC. Wasn't maybe a right moment for that. It was a hard decision. Hopefully I'm not going to regret it in the future. But I'm happy with what I'm doing right now with the Croatian FA. It's a huge brand. We have a huge recognition. Maybe not as much as Arsenal FC on the club level. On the national level, we do have a huge recognition. And I didn't regret it any second. Hopefully it's going to be all going in the future as well.
What about here in Australia? Have you had a chance to have a look at our clubs, our A-League clubs, and maybe what we're doing, and even further to that, the club structure?
I've seen a few things. I've seen a few clubs working. I've traveled all around Australia, and quite a few clubs that I've seen coaching here in Sydney as well. Both A-League clubs you have. I think the great thing you did here is actually forming the A-League. This is a professional league. I don't know about what is the overall quality of it, but for what I see, it's attendance is great, ambition, fighting spirit is right there, and I think without that, you'd be actually having a hard time to keeping up with the modern world. What's going to be needed in the future to actually go on top of that, I don't know at the moment, but for what I've seen, I think you guys are doing a good job.
Well, in Croatia, you have the issue that you don't have that many people. We have the issue that we're fighting with many other sports. So we have more people, but we can't actually get them all to play football. And do you have any suggestions on maybe how we could improve our system and development of our kids?
Well, it's a part of your culture, and it's going to be very hard to compete those other sports. Like in the States, they have those other sports they're competing with. But one thing is definitely going to change the momentum and shift it towards your way. It's a good result. If you achieve a good result on a big competition, like for example the upcoming World Cup, the nation will change. Probably you're going to have a hard time completely, not erasing, but actually moving those big sports aside and having soccer as a first sport. But if you make a big result, if you keep continuously making good results, it's definitely going to bring and stand out indifferently in the eyes of the nation, and that's definitely going to one of the ways.
Tell us a little bit about Sydney United. We know that they brought you out here. You've put on a couple sessions for them as well. Yeah. How's that going?
That's what I said is like a half friendly and half business visit. I came here. I'm dealing very well with the president of the Sydney United, Mr. Mark Ivancic, and his colleagues around. I did a classroom session on Monday. Yesterday I did a field session. For what I've seen, it's a enormously ambitious environment. I understand they're doing very well, good job already so far. There's no reason they shouldn't do that in the future again. I've seen a lot of good coaches. I've seen a lot of good kids, and new facility, new turf over there that was put on a stadium. So everything looks really good.
How do they respond, the kids, to when you're giving them new ideas, and do they respond quickly? Can you compare that to maybe kids in Croatia? It's
yesterday I just had a session for the 14s to up until all the 20s. There was like a mixture of all the age groups. One thing I've noticed is the younger we go with the ages that I work with, the easier for me for the kids to adapt to the demands that I set before them. All the kids, they do have their own way of subconscious thinking and the way of demands and habits that they formed in the past. If we did things properly, if we all did things properly in the youth academies, it would make our job easier down the road. When you see a kid at the age of 17 or 18, then you see, okay, he's got certain weaknesses. Unfortunately, it is too late for the big thing to make those changes. But when we see a kid at the age of 12, it's right time to happen and go with this. So I encourage with this interview, I encourage all the youth coaches and all the directors and the presidents of the clubs to actually take seriously the academies and the work those guys are putting in there. I know it doesn't give money, it takes money, it will give money eventually if you do that. And this is the only way. In Europe and around the world, the academies are really taken seriously. People are investing in that with all the things that go alongside with that. So I think the same thing should happen in the future here.
So what age? You just mentioned 12 years of age. Is that when you should really be focusing, or even younger than that?
at the age of 12, you can detect serious talent. You can actually see, okay, this guy's a talented player, really talented player, and we can actually focus and dedicate ourselves. However, if you start at the age of 12, it's going to be unfortunately too late. You got to be starting at the age of 8, 9, even 7, and go with the things that you're supposed to do for this specific age. What I'm trying to say is there are specific demands and specific targets that you should be doing with certain age groups. And the kids are definitely most sensitive towards that, and those are the window phases that we got to hit and target. And if we miss those in the future, we're going to regret, because we can improve as much as we could if we did it in a proper time. So if we're missing the age from U8 to U12, we missed a lot, and therefore I would say this job is very serious.
Let's talk about the World Cup next year. Croatia's got Brazil, Mexico, and Cameroon. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that group?
Everyone knows Croatia's got a Brazil because it's going to be the first and opening game. We're going to be definitely proud to see checkers coming up after the opening ceremony. It's a strong game. It's a huge game, and on the economical reasons and marketing view, it's a huge game, and we're going to definitely try to take the best out of it. Soccer-wise, listen, it's a 90-minute game. We'll see. We have a good team. I know they're a favorite. They're over there, but anything can change. We probably will be missing two of our maybe the most best players that we have, Mandzukic and Joe Šimanić, for the first game, maybe for even more than just the first game. But we have a good team. If we can not ruin the psychology after the game and having it performing a quite well game in this particular match, I'd be happy with that, because we still have two strong opponents to play against in the rest of the group.
You just mentioned Šimanić. Obviously, he played here in Australia before going overseas, and now he's one of the regulars in the national team. Has been for many years. How is he viewed in Croatia?
Oh, he's a hero. He's one of the top guys. He's a passionate guy. He's a guy that loves the country. He was born here. He was actually brought and raised here. But the way he fights for the country, for the jersey, for the uniform, is something what some of other kids actually within Croatia should actually be looking up to. Maybe the thing that he did wasn't the best thing he should have done on the last game over there, and that I saw him after this and he regretted it. But generally, he's a really outstanding guy and a positive personality, and everyone loves him.
Just one more thing on the World Cup and Australia's group. We know that Australia knocked out Croatia a couple of World Cups ago.
Yeah, some time ago.
You remember that one?
I remember that in Germany, yeah.
But now we've got Chile, Netherlands and Spain, and no one's giving us much of a chance. What are your thoughts on that one?
If the favorites should always win the game, then we shouldn't play the game at all in the first place. So yes, Holland, yes, Spain, and yes, Chile, they're strong opponents. But as I said, it's a World Cup. You still got a chunk of good months to prepare and to tactically prepare. You don't have a bad team either. Maybe, you never know, in the 5th minute of the game, a game can go a different way because of the wrong corner kick or wrong yellow card or wrong red card. So I wouldn't give up the hopes. If that's going to be the case, then you guys don't better even go there, because you're going to get in trouble, right? But if you go there brave and try to fight and get the impression and from the game, you never know. I mean, sometimes when you invest a good thing, the good thing comes back at you with the same investment. So I wouldn't quite be depressive about it, and keep fighting and prepare myself for that.
Romeo, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for coming to Australia and sharing your knowledge, and all the best in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, all the best.
Thanks, mate.